that I made to make the change in my life was to throw my hands up and ask God to take over. That's really the only conscious decision.
You are listening to A Cup of Sunrise, where we know a yawn is a silent scream for coffee. Now your host, Pastor Joe and Donna Indy.
No spandex.
And good morning.
You had to be here.
Okay, see what you get when you're not here live, man. We need to get like I almost said congregation. There's the pastor and me, and an audience, man, for just the before show, the pre-show. You know what I'm saying? Hey, good morning. This is Pastor Joe, and you're on the Cup of Sunrise. Yes, okay. I noticed I did something the other day. I put a post out on social media, and I put our email down, and I put sunshine.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
I saw that.
And you didn't correct me.
You know, I can only do so much.
Yeah, 2 days later, I went, oops, a little slow. Hey, guys, this is Pastor Joe coming to you live all the way from Springfield, Mo, from the one and the only Axe Media Group. And we have got the one and the only, because nobody else wants to be like her because she's stuck with me, Stada.
Good morning.
And then I have, okay, so if you look way over here to the other side of me and right next to Stada, you will see that we have a familiar face. That's right. It is very familiar. The Veterans Church,
Yes.
second Sunday of every month here on Axe Media. You've probably seen her mug all over social media with music, probably heard that charming voice. And coming out, and we want to say the one and the only Miss Donna Kilmurray.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
She's the one who made
welcome.
me do the Macarena. So when we did
Oh,
the
it was
radio
the best thing
when we did the
ever.
radio
Yes.
All
Yes.
three of them. I think they should do it today.
No,
They're all three here.
No,
I was at work,
No.
so I got to see the recap.
Okay, you got to see
yeah,
it.
see
okay.
that, and then
Okay.
we had to do it again the next day. Man, I hadn't been to sleep for like 48 hours or whatever, and she's like, "Do it again," and she's singing, "Go away, Donna."
And the best
She was
thing-
singing that this morning.
Yeah, she did. She did. I know.
I
It
did.
stuck in her head.
Is
Stuck
that
in her
just a song you like? or-
No.
She likes singing.
Although they didn't do Macarena to the Macarena, they did it to Independence Day,
Yes, we did.
which is just like
Yeah, we can't
totally
even listen
new.
to now,
That's
Independence
weird.
Day is a song. Now you did that song. Who wrote that song?
Lisa Williamson. from
Lisa
the Williams-
Williamson from the Williamsons. And so I can't hear that song the same way now without
Right.
going. So sorry, Lisa. She's this is Donna's fault.
And what makes it so really good is Joe has no rhythm,
0.
0 none, and he
And
doesn't.
it's country, which
Yeah,
is even
it-
better.
Yeah, it's even
Okay,
it's Southern
right.
It is
gospel.
Southern gospel country.
Yeah, we're doing the Macarena to Southern gospel music at 11 o'clock at night.
I'm not sure that's
You know, and then the
appropriate.
next day,
Yes.
you know, I know God's going. Oh no, He didn't.
Please, somebody help
I
him.
I bless Lisa Williamson with that song, and this is what you did to it.
Look what you did.
Now you want to hear the song? Where can they hear that song at? Where are you all at?
Where am I at? I'm
No,
trying
no,
to think where I'm
where
at.
all your music is at. We know where you're at here.
Well, I know. I don't know where I'm at. No, I'm joking. Facebook, www.donnakilmurray.org, YouTube. I mean,
There
there's
you-
several
and
places.
you can go listen to it, and you can try to do the Macarena to it. And then we want your videos.
And then send the
Uh-huh.
videos
Okay, we
in.
want
That
your
would be
videos.
hilarious.
Hey guys, also we want to say Happy National Chocolate Cupcake Day. Yeah, yes. But however, I got in trouble this morning. I want to, because when I wake up my lovely bride and I get her coffee in bed, I take it to her. And once she's focused, it takes about 30 minutes for the focus. And she gets up, gets around, and she's coming out of her office. She's dressed. She's coming out of the office. And I'm looking at her and I go, baby, happy National Menopausal Day. And she just didn't appreciate it like I thought she would.
No.
I thought it was a great holiday.
And with Cupcake Day, it's
They go
perfect.
hand in hand.
If you would have had cupcakes when you delivered the message, that would have been,
Then it would have been okay.
not okay, but better.
But happy National Menopausal Day. Here's a cupcake.
Here's a cupcake.
Chocolate. It has to be chocolate.
I think here's a cupcake and a fan.
There
you
you
know,
go.
I think that's how that works. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
it's also today's also a national holiday for my own personal fetish, National Necktie Day.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I love neckties. I don't wear them very often.
I should
but
go get
love
you a
them.
necktie today.
I
I'll tell
think-
you what. I'll
what?
get you a tie. You get me a cupcake
And a fan.
and a fan.
Okay, deal. Okay, guys. And that's how you charm the ladies. Stick here for more marital
Coffee and
advice.
cupcakes.
coffee, cupcakes, menopausal, and fans. All right. What is today's what is today's devotional this morning,
Well,
Miss Donna?
I forgot my devotional book at home, but I did look up a daily devotional for today, and I don't know what verses and out of the Bible it is. However, somebody probably can tell me.
You're going to make it up as you go? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I've got the devotional message. I just don't know what, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reference.
Yes.
That's a good
yes.
word. That's a good word. We'll go with that.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you and give you his peace. Come on now.
Come on.
May you commit to do the good works that God has in store for you. Partner with him to fulfill his purpose and bring glory to him.
I love that, to fulfill
like that.
his purpose.
His purpose.
Now I'm going to jump on a bandwagon right here, Donna. Okay, because and I know you've seen it because you've been doing music for how long now? Music ministry for how long now?
15 years, something like that. Yeah, maybe
Okay.
more.
You have, and I did the whole radio thing, worked with a lot of artists, did the promoting, did management, did all this. And it's not just music artists, it's actors, it's anybody who has a ministry and faith-based ministry. It's easy to lose focus. It's very easy to lose focus in what you're doing because it's real easy. Now, I know when I did radio, I can remember going to a funeral, and it was one of the artists, and I drove down to Texas. It was like 11-hour drive, 10-hour drive. Went down there, and it was a visitation. It was an amazing visitation. It really was. It really suited that person's service. It really did. And because he was a connector by nature, he connected this person with this person. Okay, so when I got down there, this place is packed to the hilt with all these people that I've played their music, other DJs, I've watched their programs, we might have texted over Facebook or whatever the case may be. And you've got all these people and you're going from one person to the other. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe. You know what it is when you go in and you're talking and everybody, hey, they introduce you, new people, contacts, whatever.
Or do you know so-and-so?
Yeah,
do
right.
You know so-and-so?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's real easy to lose focus because people, and some do it intentionally and some don't know that they're doing it, but they can start putting you on a pedestal that you don't belong on.
Right.
And it's real easy, no matter what ministry you're in, pastor, preacher, whatever, you allow yourself to be put on that pedestal and you start thinking differently. And the whole point behind, I say all that to say this is, it's all about Christ. It is not about us. It's not about our ego. It's not about our talent. It's not about ability. Because in all reality, as much talent that we've seen in music business and in other areas, our oxygen, our breath come from God.
Absolutely.
So these things here, we really need to stay focused on who our God is by getting into that word, staying into that area of ministry and staying where God needs us, not where we want to put ourselves. And I've seen, and you got to be careful because a lot of times that can cause a death in your ministry, so you just be cautious. So in that area, but now we're talking about to Miss Donna Kilmurray, great word by keeping Christ focused in our life. Amen. Now let's talk to Miss Donna. When I talked to Donna, I said, okay, what aspect? Now, guys, if you have been under a rock and don't know who Donna is, there's so many different, she's like an onion. You got to peel away. I got to get over here to Shrek for a moment.
I'm that quiet person that stays in the corner and then it's kind of like.
Now, I'm going to
and then I blossom a little bit.
Okay, now wait a minute. I can go back 5, 6, 7 years
I know
ago.
you
Okay. I can go back 5, 6, 7 years ago, and you're a wallflower 7 years ago. Now, as you have blossomed and getting to watch your ministry from afar, just watching, you aren't as much of a wallflower as you were those years ago.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, because I'm going over here because I knew who Kevin was, and but you've been doing the music 15 years. You put your first album out how long ago?
Oh, Lisa did it. Probably only about 4 years.
4 years ago.
I mean, I did country before that, but
Right.
even then, I wasn't.
Right, and you were coming to the CGMAs even back then.
2018 was my first convention with CGMA. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going back to here. This is how long I've known Donna, or in passing, I've gotten to know Donna more so in the last year since being involved with Axe Media.
Yeah.
But putting out that first album, what was the change for you? Says, okay, I understand Kevin's involved in these different things, but now I want to put an album out. Now, you've been singing for a lot of years, but what was that thing? Because I know we've got artists that watch for Stada, not for me, but because this girl she don't sing, she sangs. But what
I was going to say,
that?
I've heard her. So, yeah.
So what is the thing that said, I think I'm going to put out an album?
Just God's calling. I mean, it was kind of like, it was interesting because everybody sits there and thinks, oh, your first verse you memorized in the Bible. I'm going back, way back when I first got saved. And it was basically, you think John 3:16 or some of those simple verses that you're like, no, mine ends up being like 2 Timothy, where it says, do not neglect the gift that is in you.
That was your first?
That was my first verse to memorize. And I just knew that was my verse. That's my testimony verse. And so I knew God was doing something. And then it was just like doors just kind of opened and another door opened. Then I got married to Kevin, which he had connections, which is good.
Right.
But just being willing and open to walk through those doors versus saying, I'm going to be little old me back here.
Right.
Because, and I'm a totally different person. I mean, Joe's seen me even on the platform.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's somebody different that comes out of me. I mean, I still am very, I say reserved, if you want to say it that way, when I'm not up there.
Right.
But lately, it's just crazy because I'm like going, I said, like at CGMA, 2 years ago, I'm sitting there doing a devotion outside because I just want to listen to the nature and all that stuff because that's just me. I like doing that. And I'm like, okay, God, really? You're going to have me speak? And so now he's opening the doors for me to do testimonies and speak and do, and preach the word basically.
Right.
And so it's just being willing to go through those doors and having faith and confidence in him to do that and let him guide.
That's good. I like that.
And so, and it was kind of crazy because I heard a thing this week and I was like, that's a totally different way of understanding it. But you hear so many people talking about prosperity and how, I don't want to say riches because that's not what it's all about. We both know what it's all about.
Right.
And they said, no, prosperity doesn't mean that at all. All prosperity means is that you're with God and he's behind you and he's going with you. He's going to see you through because that's what he's called you to do.
Right.
And so it's like, that's an awesome way to look at that because so many people take it the other way, kind of like, and they make it more about themselves.
Exactly.
Instead of keeping kind of what you were talking about, I'm going to say pecking order.
Right. I got you.
God has to be up here.
Right.
And you have to be down here.
Right.
And that's actually what we're kind of talking about that this week at CBGMA too. Because it's like going,
he increases, we decrease.
Yes,
absolutely. And we're talking about the flesh decreases, the desires, the worldly things. That's the decrease. Because once those things coming out, then we can understand the humility and the humbleness that we're to be in for God.
Right.
Okay. So now you said, when you come into this area, you said that verse, 2 Timothy, powerhouse verse. And it's to me, it's just kind of a strange verse to be your first one to memorize. My first one was Jesus wept, so that was I could handle that one. But coming into said, okay, you were married, Kevin, you were married with Kevin before your first album come out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much poking and edging did he say, hey, you need to put out an album? Or was it, hey, maybe this is something that I should do?
It was more in order to keep going. I felt God saying, this is where we need to go.
Okay.
I mean, and then we both agreed on the second album saying, yes, this is where God's leading us. We need to go further. And so, Jimmy Jack.
Oh, yeah.
So he was my next producer. He did my second album. And then Kevin got me in touch with Randall Wiles, which now we have that, songs going out in the charts and stuff. So.
Right. So, and the reason I ask this is because coming in now, and a lot of people do not believe me when I tell them, but really it's the honest to goodness truth, because I was such an introvert.
I don't see that.
Nobody buys into that, but I was such an introvert until I got older in life. And then when I accepted Christ, my extrovert really come out in me. It was like, I'm waiting to come out, it's like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. But I still love, if I get a chance to grab a book and get away, I'll do it. I just don't get that chance to get away very often. I'd rather be doing that in a lot of ways, but I still get to be that social butterfly. But here's my thing. And the reason that I bring this up is because we come in with you being that wallpaper, if you will. That
I was wallpaper.
You was wallpaper. But when you were kind of behind the scenes, but now you're coming up, and I'm seeing a different Donna Kilmurray come in. And here's where you see, because what I want to bring out in here is people out there, they want to do something for God, but it's building that faith, it's building that boldness, and it's building all that. And understand, when that happens, God supplieth every need. He does. And that turns into, and we find out that those are needs for ministry. So when you're saying, I can't do it, and I love this one. He grew you. He stretched you. And it was it 2 years ago. He said, yeah, God does not leave you in a position to where you remain the same.
No.
I
mean, the symbolism of the clay, the potter and the clay.
Yes.
Until the day we're called home, we're going to be
always
stretched
being molded
and made more like Him.
Exactly. So now that God's stretching you, and I'm assuming that you're probably a lot farther as far as being that extrovert than you thought you would ever be, or getting up into ministry and getting in front of people. And since then, some of the accolades that you've accomplished since then is I think one female vocalist,
entertainer.
Yeah. Now
those are the main things, but yeah.
Right. And you can go to donnakilmurray.com to get more information on that. But now you're at Central Division.
Yeah. International.
It's international right now. Yeah. What are you up for now? Now roll it off, girl.
Acapella, signing interpreter, drama, which
no, that does not mean she's a drama basket case, guys. Okay.
I get to act like a basket case. Yes. An entertainer. So yeah.
5 years ago, she'd have never thought that.
No,
this is God stretches us.
Yeah.
And get in there. Now understand, and I know Donna's heart, the accolades is not what it's about. But
I had to say most of them are sitting in a box.
Right? Yeah, they're great dust collectors.
I know, right?
But it looks good on a website.
Yeah, it looks good on a resume.
But here's this, and I had to have a guy explain this to me. In fact, I think it was Jimmy Jack that explained it to me. He says, you got to understand what these are for. I mean, I know some other artists, they put theirs in there. What was it? Gary S. Paxton. He had 3 Grammys. One of them held his door open. Okay, I mean that's how much he put into
amazing.
It, and he was amazing. But it's doors open because you had made a statement. Doors open for you. How many of them did you have to open, or were they already there?
The ones I opened never really blossomed. It was always, it had to be just like me going and singing at CGMA, that puts, saying, oh, she has a talent. Well, that means God opened
she has
other
an
doors.
Anointed talent, guys.
And so He brought the people to me, and those were the doors that are actually blossoming.
Right. You see, when we try to open those doors, they're not going to do well.
Mm-mm.
But when God says, "Hey, listen, I've got a spot here," I've seen a lot of artists, a lot of them young artists, new artists. They try to open doors, and they haven't figured out that's going to hurt. That's why we have to keep our relationship centered
Oh, absolutely.
with Christ. Now we're in our third or fourth album now.
We're planning the third one.
Planning the third one. In there. So coming into your ministry, coming into this, what would you say has been the biggest help in your relationship with God in being able to continue doing this?
Being in His Word. That's what I would say. I mean, because that's how I'm going to hear Him, and then I know what I feel is, if that makes sense. I mean,
Yes.
and that's how I kind of choose songs. People always ask, how do I choose songs? Because there's a lot of people that just go and pick one off the thing.
Right.
And it takes me sometimes, and ever since I surrendered to that ministry, I sit for hours just to listen for that one perfect song.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes a while, that, as far as getting the right songs and and it's like people say, "Hey, I got a great song." It's like, it's not going to fit right now.
Right.
And it might not ever fit, but it's a matter of where you're at with your walk in Christ and where you're going and where He's taking you. So,
yeah, because now I don't sing. I want to be a blessing to everybody, so I don't sing.
Let's make a joyful noise.
Sometimes, good Lord, that's not joyful, Joe, but that's more like
Okay, does he sing?
He doesn't sing as terrible as he makes out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I've actually had him sing with me at church, and it was pleasant. I've heard him singing, so I do the worship at church, and I can hear him over here singing, and it's pleasant. I hear him singing around the house, and it's fine. Actually,
it's not fingers on a chalkboard anyway.
Not.
Let's say that.
It's not terrible. And
I'm sitting there hearing her going, it's pleasant.
Yeah.
Somebody along the lines told him that he was awful. So now he just believes he's awful, but he's really not.
Isn't it crazy how words can do that?
Words are powerful.
Yes.
I had a second grade teacher. I tell people this. They told me to be quiet. I was singing too loud, they said. So I needed to be quiet and just give it up.
Wow.
And that was in second grade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Words build or destroy.
Yeah. So you're pleasant. So don't say you can't
sing. No.
Even if he sings
I'm pleasant. You got to have that painful look on your face when you say pleasant. You have a painful look on your face. Then you can say, pleasant.
He sings well. And even when he sings off key, I guess because of his musical history background, even if he's off key, he's still he's in the right octave, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's really singing harmony, but he doesn't really know that he is.
Yeah.
The third or the fifth or something like that.
Yeah, I don't even like hominy.
It's just funny. I hear so many pastors go, I can't sing. And you sit right next to him and we're like,
yeah,
you can.
You can sing.
The good Lord made me odious. He made her melodious. Okay. And that's how this works out so well. So now I want to talk about, because being a redhead, today.
I know, right?
You did a video, and I'm going to put this together as I'm looking at the time. But you did a video on your Facebook Live, and you didn't have your red hair.
I didn't. I was bald.
You were bald.
All natural.
So talk to us a little bit about that. What is this?
So I have a genetic form of skin cancer. It's not terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had several invasive surgeries and reconstructive surgeries that I decided I didn't want that anymore. And they came out with a pill. And there's always a pill.
Yeah, right.
Vote on the gospel. It'll do you better.
And it's basically, they don't call it chemo, but it is kind of a chemo type of drug.
Right.
And so I chose to do that to see if it worked, and it worked. And so we're just going to keep going with that. And I said, I can deal with the side effects. And
yeah.
So now how long has this been going on?
Well, I got diagnosed, when I was a sophomore in college, and they found some jaw cysts that were basically eating my jawbone away. And so, yeah, it was crazy. It's called basal cell nevus syndrome. And so it's actually a genetic form of basal cell carcinoma. So I have multiple. I've had this part of my nose, if you can see, is from this part of my head.
No, I can't tell at all. I'm sitting right here next to you.
It's called a flap. And so they take off, they do Mohs first to get rid of all the cancer. And that went down to the cartilage basically of my nose, and then even into the cartilage. And then they cut a strip up here. This is kind of hopefully not too graphic, and they flip it.
Right.
And so
I've seen the surgery. Mm-hmm.
And so for 3 weeks I looked like a
So basically,
crazy thing.
So you got a nose job.
In roundabout sense,
Roundabout
not the
way.
best of nose job, but yeah, it's pretty good considering the fact.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Now let me ask you this: Did that diagnosis have anything to do with you coming to the Lord? Were you already a Christian before that?
Already a Christian before that. I didn't even know anything about this, and we didn't even realize that there was a genetic form of it until my dermatologist was talking about it, and he says, "Does anybody else in your family have these type of things?" And I had a twin brother, and he had it. He actually had the jaundice years before I did, and had lots of basal cells that he had issues with. And my mom actually had the flap too, but they didn't connect the dots until years later with me, and said, "Oh, this is
so now some years later they're saying that basal
cell carcinomas." Yeah,
basal cell. So they're saying that it is a hereditary trait. Then,
in my case, yeah, there's actually a gene that's defected in my DNA that's causing me to be predisposed for.
So this is something that you'll deal with for the rest of your life. Okay. So, and here was the point that I wanted to bring out, not to talk about your many styles of wigs.
I'm redhead today.
She's a redhead today.
I'm envious of that, actually.
I've already told you. I found a blue one. I want this. There's one. Yes, we're gonna just go, and it goes from white to like this midnight blue. I was like, it'd be perfect for 4th of July.
Yes.
I could be red, white, and blue.
Oh, here we go, folks.
Super
Here we go.
cute.
So, okay, so here's what I love. I love because when you first found out you had this coming in, you weren't so uplifted in your spirit about it.
No.
For like you're able to deal with it now and coming through that. And I'm assuming using Christ in your faith to get through there. I mean, you probably had all these destructive thoughts going on. Oh, it's going to do this.
Oh, if you saw, my hairdresser and I, we bawled when she said we're going to keep it as long as we can. And I said, okay. And then it got to the point of being so thin that it was just like, this is pointless. And so the day she shaved it off, it was kind of like, we're all just like, ah.
That's a traumatic day. That's a traumatic day.
You don't realize how connected you are to some of your.
There's a lot of identity in a woman's hair. There's a lot of identity in a man's hair.
I've even said that out loud. You know, my hair is how I identify with myself, and without it, I couldn't even imagine.
Right.
You know, I couldn't imagine.
Well, and I wear wigs quite a bit, except for yesterday or Monday when I was like, whoa. And but I've had people sit there and say I couldn't go anywhere without my hair, and at the same time I'm sitting there thinking, if that's going to interfere with what I'm saying from the stage,
right,
then I'm going to wear the wig so that they will hear what I have to say from the stage. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Paul did the same thing when he talked to Jews. When he didn't put on a wig, but at least that I know of. But he would not to offend them and not to distract them,
right?
And so it's the same case. Like, I get it. It's not a pride thing. It's not an ego thing. It's just because some people can't get over certain things to get to the walk with God,
right,
or to grow with God. That's just a real thing in life in general. So how many wigs have you got?
I have 5. They're all red.
Red. She said, I'm not a real redhead, but all my wigs are red.
Well, even when I had hair, it was kind of red. I mean, you knew me when I had hair.
Yeah.
And my hubby has fallen for the redhead. So everything I buy, I'm like, okay, it's red. It's red. I have one that's like a little blonde. But
I think you look fantastic as a redhead, and I've seen you without a wig, and I think you are just beautiful. Just beautiful.
So now, how in doing this, going through all this, because you had this before you got into the music ministry, coming into this, with your testimony, how has that helped you or not helped you? You believe in your music ministry, dealing with the cancer, fighting with this? Because I'm sure some days it's a fight because it's a mental thing.
It is. It can be,
I mean, typically you're probably way up there, but those days where it hits hard, and this is how it usually happens. You're battling something in your inner self, and you've got to be somewhere to minister. How's overcoming? I mean, are you still struggling with it? I mean, I know how I deal with things like that as a pastor. If I'm invited somewhere to preach, and I've got something going on in my head, if I don't get focused on Christ, that's going to mess with my message. That's going to mess with everything I've got. How's your area of focus? I mean, do you get, because music and ministry, do you get focused into the music? Do you play the music loud? I mean, how do you combat that when you're out there on the road in ministry on days that you just feel like you've been beat up?
Music, I turn it up way loud, and I mean, I really do. It's like I'll listen to anything. I'll turn on CC Winan. That's one of my favorite ones, and with her goodness of God and believe for it. But the crazy
goodness
thing,
of God.
Oh my goodness,
That's
it's the
a great
best song.
I do that at church. It's
crazy how many people, and they sit there and they see you without hair, and they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry."
Right.
We're so sorry. It's like we're praying for you, and so then I get to share with it's not terminal, but
it gets to open doors.
It opens doors, and you can relate to people. Right. It's kind of like what you were saying, and I went back and I said, I don't even remember what I said in that video without my hair. But it was kind of crazy because everybody commented it, and I didn't think it would go that far because you're like, oh, man, you are so strong. It's like, no, I just have the Lord.
Yes.
And it's like we all have those mountains.
Good.
We all have something we're going through, something we need assistance with. But God, and I love those words, but God.
But God.
And I said, I might write a song called But God or something to that point, has given us the authority and the power to say and to move those mountains. They're not going to go away. I mean, mine's not going to go away. Right. I just have to deal with it, but I have to trust in Him that He's going to provide. He's not going to let me, fall to the.
Now, when it comes into you're having the day, you're having the pity party, I call them.
Oh yeah,
and we have them. Okay. And
even when I had hair at a pity party.
Of course.
So how do you that mountain? Because you put it so well. We all have those mountains, and sometimes those mountains can make like little mountains, or at least rocks that feel like they just fell off and hit me in the face. Okay, this I can remember as a kid going down 65 highway back when it was a 2-lane, and they had signs, beware falling rocks. Remember that? And you'd see big, large rocks falling or whatever, and you're looking, but now they've widened it up and cut them down. So we don't have those signs anymore. So when you have somebody who they're listening to you, you're connecting with them. But if you got somebody who's just, they can't get over that struggle, they're battling that, and they feel like that rock's hitting them that day. And you're having one of those days. Them rocks are hitting you. You're supposed to minister. How do you witness to them? How do you talk to them? Because we deal with struggling with ourselves a lot of times, and then we get hit with a boulder. So in those days, how do you get into those areas, knowing what you have to do, but still be able to say, I'm going to do this, and knowing that you're dealing with people with the same issue, with the same rock, with the same mountain? What's one of the, because usually we get these, I know with preachers and with some musicians, they have a phrase that's kind of become their catchphrase to help them to get through. And I know you've got that verse, but what helps you to be that
days,
help
it's like
person?
You want to be diligent in what He's given you, kind of like what the verse says, but it's like you said, it is hard. And there's days where I just have to go to Him in prayer. I mean, prayer is a big thing, but I have to put myself aside and put others ahead of me and figure out
and that's
how
the
I can.
Hard part.
Yeah.
That's
and some days I still don't know. And I just have to be honest with people and say, I don't know. I don't know all the answers, but we serve a God that does.
Yes.
Amen.
And so even if I don't have the answers, I can at least pray for them, and I can at least say, hey, I love you. And, give a big old hug.
Yes.
And sometimes it turns into a tear work.
Sure.
But,
Right.
It's ministry. And, yeah.
You made a statement that is a powerhouse, and I don't hear this statement very often. And you said, it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get back into how it's about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of people, and I think this is how we started the program, with the devotional, is we cannot be effective in ministry if it's about us.
That's right.
If it's about our talent, if it's about our wishes, it's about our desire, it's about our need, it's about this, we will not be effective. We'll put on a good show,
Right.
but will not be effective in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, that spirit is known whether you truly care
Mm-hmm.
or it's entertainment. Now, granted, I know a lot of people will go into places for entertainment value,
Mm-hmm.
even in gospel shows, to prove that we're over here by Branson and you've got some faith-based shows, and people go for entertainment and not for the faith. And some of the actors are that way too. That's just that's the nature of the beast. But I love the way that you hit that. That's powerhouse. Guys, if you want to get some more information on Donna, they can go to what website?
www.donnakilmurray.org.
And they're going to get how to book you, how to...
you can also just call. 405-823-9784. If I don't answer, leave a message. And my husband's number, he loves this, but it's 816-237-6724. And his name's Kevin. But
Now, Donna, do you write your own songs?
I do some, but a lot of times they're pitched to me. I have several people just pitching songs. Even this week, I've had a couple of people say, "Hey, I want you to listen to my songs." And so,
because right now you're in Branson for the Central or the
CGMA International. So, and that's country gospel
International.
music.
Whoop, whoop.
I was promoter of the year internationally at CGMA.
You were.
I was, and I have the clear hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tell everybody I got a trophy because I can run my mouth. Is what that is. Listen, guys, if you'd like to be a guest, hey, by the way, Donna, Hale, and
Billy Hale.
Billy, thank you. Donna and Billy Hale are the president and the first lady of CGMA. They do an amazing, world's largest gospel association.
This is, I think they said their 150th convention, their 23rd international convention. So it's been here in Branson.
So if you guys want to go over, you can go over to, I think it's Stone
Castle.
Stone Castle.
Every night we start at 5.
Gospel music, Southern gospel, different genres, a lot of Southern gospel, Christian country.
Why haven't we been?
We did. We went last year. Remember Kevin Nelson?
One time. They're every night at 5.
Okay, we'll
every
go.
night at 5 we do worship, and Wendell Johnson preaches, and he's an amazing preacher.
Yeah, because we could get out of service and still go because they go till like 1 a.m, man.
We went till almost midnight. Like I'm in my doctorate program and I had to get homework done by midnight. I was like, I gotta get it done.
I got work to do.
All right, guys, if you'd like to be a guest on our Wednesday morning program on A Cup of Sunrise, I want you to go send me an email to cupofsunrise@gmail.com. Send me an email, send me your info, send me a picture.
That's SON.
SON, cupofsunrise@gmail. And we'd love to have you as a guest. Tell us something about you. And don't come on just because you're pretty. I've already got that spot covered. So coming up next is, what is it? Changing Times with Brother Lynn. So hang on in there. Tune in.
Dr. Thomas Romano, he's the chair of the Middle Eastern politics.
Middle East politics,
that's going
to be a good program, guys. Definitely watch
Absolutely.
that. And just an FYI, Iran got hit by an earthquake, and I'm not cheering that, but I just find it interesting how God's moving. Anyway, just to get some more information, check us out. Find us. You can also find us on Come As You Are Fellowship on Facebook. God bless. Love ya.
Be safe.